Very good afternoon. I'm Siddharth Talia. Now, the ethics panel has given time on the 2nd of November for TMC Member of Parliament Mahua Moitra to appear before it. But now more uncomfortable facts have emerged which are queering the pitch for the TMC MP. Now, let's revisit the defamation suit that had been filed by Mahua Moitra herself against the lawyer Jay Anand Dehadrai and also Nishikant Dubey, the Lok Sabha Member of Parliament from Jharkhand, in the Delhi High Court. In the defamation complaint, she claimed on affidavit that all charges against her are false, frivolous, baseless, and also fictitious. Among the charges she dismissed in toto was the charge that she had shared her MP login credentials with businessman Darshan Hiranandani. However, days later, in various media interviews that she's given, she admitted to having shared her login but argued that this is common practice. So first, let's take a look at what Mahua Moitra said in her defamation suit. She said, and I quote, "In this convergence of personal enmity and political vendetta, the false, frivolous, baseless and fictitious allegations conjured from the depths of defendant number 2's mind is armed into political strategy by defendant number 1 to defame and malign the plaintiff's image." Stop quote. She further says, while referring to Jay Anand Dehadrai's original complaint letter, that, quote, "the contents of the letter dated 14th of October 2023 are denied by the plaintiff in toto, and allegations made therein are ex facie baseless and per se defamatory." Stop quote. Now, the simple question, therefore, is, did Mahua Moitra commit perjury when she first denied the charges of sharing her login credentials in her affidavit and then later accepted them in the interviews that she gave? That's a question some are, in fact, asking. Is there, therefore, a contradiction in what she's written in her defamation complaint, which was supposed to be heard on the 30th of October, which will be heard, in fact, tomorrow, and, of course, the claims that she's made in the media interviews that she's given, where she's acknowledged the fact that her login credentials were indeed shared, including possibly with Mr. Darshan Hiranandani. The claim that she made was that she represents a constituency which is rural. She happens to be in parts of rural India and rural West Bengal at significant amounts of time, and therefore, for reasons of convenience, she would have shared her login credentials where questions can, in fact, be asked. So that's the defense coming on the part of Mahua Moitra. However, in her defamation complaint that she'd filed against Mr. Dehadrai as well as Mr. Nishikant Dubey, she claimed that she rejects all the allegations that have been made against her in toto. Now, given the fact that the complaint has been filed before a court of law, and prima facie it may appear that some of the claims that she's made in the defamation complaint and what she's later said in media interviews represents a contradiction, does this really qualify as perjury? That's the question that some are asking. Let's in fact take this across to Mr. Deshratan Nigam, lawyer and advocate, joining us. Mr. Nigam, is this really perjury? Because there appears to be, at least at a prima facie level, a contradiction between what she said in her defamation complaint and what she's later said in interviews by way of clarifications.
Yes, certainly. When you take the oath in the parliament and you with certainty, work against that oath, and then it is perjury. And perjury in terms of court, I'm not talking about, but in terms of the ethics and the privileges that the parliament enjoys. When it goes to the court, it will depend on what she says on the oath there. So one thing is very clear. There are 2 or 3 possibilities out here. One, the proceedings before the ethics committee, which may recommend after the investigation that they have done, after calling her and then, also asking her to, submit the evidence. It may recommend, from suspension to termination of membership to the speaker, which may then be put before the House for consideration, and the House may pass whatever they might, think appropriate. Okay. Second is the criminal case. Okay. Second is the criminal case. The criminal case arising is in terms of Prevention of Corruption Act and the IT rules, the violation of IT rules and Prevention of Corruption Act, where various sections can get applied from Section 7, Section 8, Section 13, where the punishment varies from 3 to 7 years. And that's a very serious thing. And probably that is what Nishikant Dubey is talking about. He only said about 3 years. But after studying the Prevention of Corruption Act, there is a possibility
Mr.
it
Nigam,
is
if I could
proven.
just interrupt you for a moment, because let's in fact take our viewers through the sum and substance of the allegations that have been leveled and what the facts actually on the ground seem to suggest. And Aditi will get us some more details. Mr. Nigam, I'll just come back to you in just a short while. But Aditi, just take us through what appear to be claims and contradictions.
Well, exactly. We have prepared how Mahua Moitra's claims before the Ethics Committee, she will be produced before Ethics Committee, are falling flat. Now, over here, first of all, Mahua claimed that affidavit on white paper and not on official letterhead or notarized. This is what she said when Hiranandani's claim came out. She said that the letterhead has no signatures, but then the fact has come out and it says that notarized document was signed on October 20, 2023. Now, another claim that Mahua made was that PMO forced Hiranandani to sign the affidavit against Mahua Moitra. The fact is that MEA sources have confirmed now that Hiranandani signed affidavit voluntarily in Indian consulate in Dubai. Then Mahua Moitra further claimed that no rules on who can have one's login when BJP was questioning that she has jeopardized the national security by sharing her login credentials, parliament login credentials. The fact is that the government rules clearly say users must ensure password info not shared with anyone. The rules clearly state that the login credentials are to be kept secret. Login details are with staff of all MPs, and she gave a counter attack. But then the government rules clearly state that the passwords shall not be shared with anyone. It should be kept as a secret.
Okay, Aditi, thanks for taking us through that. Mr. Nigam, coming back to you, do you believe that Mahua Moitra does have a case in a defamation complaint, because certain claims that have been made have not yet been substantiated? That principally includes allegations of having accepted 75 lakh rupees from Mr. Hiranandani, or for that matter, a certain Hawala transaction involving rupees 2 crore. None of the people that have actually given interviews to the media so far, certain stakeholders involved in this matter, have been able to back those claims. So does therefore Mahua Moitra still have a strong case as far as defamation is concerned?
Well, in fact, Siddharth, most of this, all the 3 or 4 cases that we are talking about, the various streams arising from the same bundle of facts. Now, this is initial stage of investigation. CBI is still to register a PE and launch its own investigation. That's the real investigation. The Ethics Committee will go prima facie. Ethics Committee does not have the wherewithal to, criminally investigate a case. It is where the CBI comes into the picture as and when they want to take up. This is the initial stage of investigation. The most difficult thing for Mahua Moitra is and very dangerous also, is that Hiranandani has turned approver. He's giving the details. He will be able to establish the money trail. He'll be able to establish what all gifts, expensive gifts or not, have been given. And once that is established, it will be a very difficult thing for the person. If he had not turned approver, things would have been very difficult for agencies, because Hawala transactions and things like that are difficult to be, established, because those are, very secretive kind of, exchanges. And therefore, in this particular case, when the bribe giver has become the approver, then it becomes very difficult. These are initial stages of investigation. We must wait as and when, it is taken further.
Okay, Mr. Nigam, do stay with us, because days before Mahua Moitra's scheduled deposition before the Lok Sabha Ethics Panel, her claim on Darshan Hiranandani's affidavit appeared to have fallen flat. Now, Times Now has accessed the businessman's affidavit, the notarized affidavit, which confirms that the affidavit is in fact notarized and also signed by him. It reads that the affidavit has been signed voluntarily and is being submitted to the consulate officials in Dubai by Mr. Hiranandani. The document is signed on the 20th of October 2023. Remember, Mahua Moitra had questioned the affidavit, claiming that the PMO had forced Darshan Hiranandani to sign it, and claimed that it was neither on an official letterhead nor was it notarized. In fact, even before the document was accessed, Darshan Hiranandani had dismissed Mahua's charge in an exclusive conversation with Times Network's Navika Kumar. Let's listen into that interaction.
She had raised questions about your affidavit. First, she raised the question about the fact that it was on plain paper. Since then, of course, it's been notarized. She's also made some allegations about how this affidavit has been signed and written by you under duress. I want to ask you, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, have you given this affidavit under duress?
Navika, the affidavit is signed by me voluntarily, no fear, no favor. Testimony of that is that I had it notarized at the Indian consulate in Dubai.
So you're saying Mahua Moitra is wrong when she says that this was an affidavit which was drafted in the Prime Minister's office and sent to you, and you were given 20 minutes with a gun to your head to sign it?
Navika, I can only say that this was clearly drafted by my lawyers based on my statement. Since I'm in Dubai, I had it notarized in the Indian consulate in Dubai. Then I sent it to the Privilege Committee of Lok Sabha and copied to CBI and Dr. Nishikant Dubey by email.
Now, this does not seem to be the only trouble that Mahua Moitra faces after her admission that she did share her parliamentary login details with businessman Darshan Hiranandani to facilitate posting of questions. The BJP Member of Parliament, Mr. Nishikant Dubey, has countered her defence that there was nothing wrong in doing so. Here's a look at the email and password policy of the Government of India. The BJP MP points out that under the email policy of the Government of India, users must ensure information about password is not shared with anyone. Stop quote. The password policy clearly states that passwords shall not be shared with anyone, it shall not be shared with PAs or secretaries, and it shouldn't be revealed unless permitted by the designated authority. Remember that Mahua Moitra had hinted that there was nothing wrong with sharing credentials and had asked for the data of all Lok Sabha members of Parliament to be checked. Now, the Ethics Committee of the Lok Sabha has now summoned her on the 2nd of November. The panel is probing allegations that Moitra took bribes from businessman Darshan Hiranandani to target the Adani Group in return for gifts as well as cash. Mahua Moitra, however, has dismissed all of these charges in toto. Let me go back once again to Mr. Deshratan Nigam. Mr. Nigam, as far as the password policy, as far as MPs are concerned, do you believe that there is a clear-cut violation in this case? Because Mahua Moitra's defence is that she represents a fairly remote and a rural constituency, and therefore she may not be able to log in as per her convenience, and therefore she had shared those credentials with perhaps Mr. Hiranandani. Sometimes this is also done by members of parliament with their secretary to post questions. Do you believe this is a valid explanation, sir?
No, certainly not. Law is same for everyone. Once you have violated and shared your password and you've gone beyond that, Siddharth, you've gone the allegations of bribe, money for asking questions, especially against the rival competitor, Mr. Adani, where the entire process, it appears, goes far beyond crime. You're targeting Indian business, Indian growth story, Mr. Modi, all in one. It started from Hindenburg, and the Supreme Court didn't find anything, the SEBI didn't find anything. So entire cabal here appears to be directed towards Indian businesses. Tomorrow it could be, Jains, it could be the Birlas, Tatas, Mahindras. So this is a very clever ploy which was done, and certainly this will not cut ice. Ignorance of law is no excuse, Siddharth. You can't say that you have violated it and then you say you are in a remote place, you did not know the policy. That will not cut ice. You are a member of parliament, and then you have, it can be clearly established that certain specific questions were asked.
Okay.
Where the contracts were lost by one party in favor of another party, which is a separate process altogether. So if you try to connect the chain, which will be done by deep investigation, the chain can be established. Questions asked on whose behalf, what was the motive, who were the target people against whom such questions were asked. Mr. Modi was also one of the target, apart from Mr. Adani. India's growth story. India is booming economy, where India is going to become the third largest economy. So it is about national security as well, apart from your personal violations, the crimes being done. I haven't come across an accused who says I am guilty. Everybody says I am not guilty. Yes, they have a right to defend in a court of law, because that's what rule of law says, that you have a right to defend yourself. But then we require, I think the only thing that we as an Indian, a genuine Indian, all of us can require a sincere investigation on the parts of Ethics Committee and the criminal agencies that are looking into the matter.
Right, Mr. Nigam, thank you. That's a very comprehensive perspective that you provided us. Let's see how the defamation hearing pans out tomorrow, and also, of course, how the ethics panel hearing pans out on the 2nd of November, where Mahua Moitra has been summoned. For the time being, we slip into